Week 4 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few running backs I would start this week. The first guy, Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants. I was down on Barkley, no doubt about it, coming into the season, but right here, he's proven to be healthy, and right here, looks explosive like he did in his rookie season, where he was one of the best running backs in fantasy football. So right here, this Giant offense is a mess. Sterling Shepard, he went down in the Week 3 ball game. He's probably going to be out, and I think we're going to see them lean on Barkley even more now in the passing game, with one of their top targets most likely out for the season, the way it looked, with Sterling Shepard's knee giving out and him carted off the field immediately. So Saquon Barkley, explosive running back. Just injuries have been the problem, obviously, throughout his career. But so far, he's off to a monster start and leads the league in scrimmage yards here, is Saquon Barkley. So right now, great matchup at the Chicago Bears, where I think he could have a good ball game once again, is Saquon Barkley. Like I said, I know they don't got a lot of weapons over there, is this Giant team, and they're going to lean on Barkley more. I know teams are going to stack the box and have Daniel Jones try to beat him. But right now, Barkley's been putting up numbers. Week 1 at Tennessee, 164 rush yards, a touchdown, 6 catches, 30 receiving yards, a 2-point conversion. Week 2 versus the Panthers, a little bit of a down game, 72 rush yards, 3 catches, 16 yards. And then Week 3 versus the Dallas Cowboys, 81 rush yards, a touchdown, and 4 catches, 45 yards. So right here, playing great football. He's been the number 1 running back so far in fantasy in terms of weekly of a guy to have in your lineup. In Week 4 versus the Bears, I expect at least 15, 20 fantasy points in this one. And he's a running back to start this week. The next guy, Nick Chubb with the Cleveland Browns. So Nick Chubb off to a monster start as well, like Barkley in the early going. And he's an every week start. But this week here, I think he could be the number 1 running back in the rankings. What a great matchup with the Atlanta Falcons. It's an indoor game. This Brown offense, obviously, he's the number 1 man over there. Then you go to the passing game. Amari Cooper, David Njoku had a breakout ball game, but I don't buy into that. But anyway, Nick Chubb, great matchup. Getting 20-plus carries a week, which is a good thing, because we thought Kareem Hunt, obviously, would eat into a lot of the workload. But last season's different from this year in terms of that. Week 1 at Carolina, 22 carries, 141 rush yards, a catch for 2 yards. Week 2 versus the Jets, 87 rush yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 catches, 26 yards. In Week 3 versus the Steelers, 23 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown. So we know Chubb's not much of a receiver out of the backfield, but this guy, he's just a steady running back. He's going to get a lot of yards, and he's going to bulldozer his way into the end zone. So right here, Week 4 at Atlanta, it wouldn't be surprising to me if he's the number 1 overall running back at the position this week. The next guy, Khalil Herbert of the Chicago Bears. I know this is seeing if David Montgomery's going to play this week or not, but Khalil Herbert, what a performance he had in Week 3 is Herbert, filling in once Montgomery went down early in the ball game. Week 1 versus San Francisco had a decent workload, 9 carries, 45 yards, a touchdown, a catch, -2 yards. Week 2 with a tough Green Bay team, not much work, but he had 4 carries, 38 yards in that one, and a catch for 3 yards. And then last week versus Houston, he exploded, 20 carries, 157 rush yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 12 yards in that one. So right here, good matchup at the New York Giants. The Dallas Cowboys just shredded them in the running game, with Pollard going for 106 yards and Zeke over 70 yards. So the Cowboys almost rushing for 200 yards in that Week 3 ball game. And right here, we know the Bears are going to rely on the run. And Khalil Herbert's definitely a start. Obviously, if Montgomery's out, this guy's a top 10 running back, I believe, this week. With a good matchup and with the volume he's going to see in this ball game. Because the Bears, they don't like throwing the football. That's been obvious the first 3 weeks of the season. And they're relying winning on games so far with run-heavy offense and playing solid defense. So right here, if Montgomery's out, sky's the limit for Khalil Herbert this week. The next running back's another replacement, Jamal Williams of the Detroit Lions. Jamal Williams, he was getting run already, even with DeAndre Swift in the lineup. But now with DeAndre Swift banged up and probably going to miss a few weeks here, according to head coach Dan Campbell, Jamal Williams, he could be a top 15, top 20 running back weekly now. Week 1 versus Philly, had a good workload, 11 carries, 28 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, a catch, 2 yards. Week 2 versus the Commanders, 12 carries, 53 yards, a catch, 7 yards. And Week 3 in Minnesota got the full workload pretty much, with Swift barely playing, 20 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches, 20 yards. So now we know he's been the goal line back, short yardage back anyway with Swift in the lineup. And Swift, I avoided him in a lot of fantasy leagues. I believed he was going way too high in fantasy drafts here. And Jamal Williams was always looming, and now he's going to be the man, it looks like, for the next few weeks. And Swift probably coming back week 7 is the target after their bye week. So right here, Dion, Jamal Williams, he's got a good matchup for Seattle. They don't really stop anyone. We saw Cordell Patterson last week go over 100 yards. And I think Williams in this one, as long as he's getting that full workload and Swift is out, easily could get 70, 80 yards and possibly find the end zone not once but twice in this one. And the fifth and final running back I'd look to start this week, Aaron Jones of the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Jones so far in one mediocre game and one bad game for Jones. Week 1 in Minnesota, 5 carries, 49 yards, 3 catches, 27 yards. But that ball game was a feeling out ball game for the Green Bay Packers, even though A.J. Dillon looked like the better back. But week 2 versus the Chicago Bears, he gashed them 15 carries, 132 rush yards, a touchdown, 3 catches, 38 yards in the touchdown. And week 3 at Tampa in a tough ball game, dogfight, defensive matchup, 36 rush yards in that one, 3 catches, 11 yards, a fumble loss. So right here, week 4 versus the Patriots, their defense, I think they're just getting exploited here, is New England. Obviously, their offense isn't helping the defense with a lot of short drives and a lot of turnover, especially with 4 turnovers in that week 3 matchup versus Baltimore. And I think we're going to see more of the same over here in Green Bay. So Aaron Jones, he's going to get opportunities. This defense ain't all that great. Lamar Jackson ran for a lot of yards versus New England. Justice Hill and only 6 carries rushed for 60 yards. And I think right here, Aaron Jones gets back on track and is a running back to start this week. So that's a few running backs I look to start here for week 4 of the fantasy football season.